2, 1.
And
We're live.
we live. Okay, so we are back with another episode of Untamed Gems, episode 5. It's me,
Cinco.
your girl Kay, Tara, the original FOMO Homo,
A.
and we got our boy Kyrell with us today. We've got a lot of really important things to talk about. I wish this could be one of those episodes where we could just be silly and laugh, but I feel like everything going on is a little bit too important. But before we get into anything, I want people to know about Kyrell, know who Kyrell is. Just to give everybody a little preface on how we know Kyrell. This is another one of our high school buddies that graciously decided to come on the podcast because he felt like he could really add to our conversation. And he's a really intelligent dude, so I trust his opinion. But I'll let you take it away, Kyrell, so you can introduce yourself to us. Tell us a little bit about you, what you're about, what you do.
Absolutely. So went to tech with these two beautiful females that you see on the podcast. I've always been a person that was very inclusive of cultures and backgrounds. It's at a time now where I'm very proud of being Black, but it's at a time now where there's so much information out there, and it just needs to be fine-tuned. And I feel like I have the skill set to do that. So I just want to help kind of guide conversation. About me though, listen, I'm an artist. I sing, I rap. I'm in my head a lot, talk to myself a lot. They say geniuses do that. I study architecture. So I like to understand the principles of things. I'm very detail oriented. So this is, like I said, this is really important to me. I just want to make sure I try to articulate it the best way I can.
Well, that is awesome, and we are really happy to have you. Just to let everybody know, what was that? This past Tuesday, the three of us got to go to the Clifton protest for Black Lives Matter. So I guess we can, before we get into talking about, our experiences this week, and some of the conversations that we've had this week, I just want to know how everybody's doing. Just like, it's a lot right now. So let's, we'll start with our guest today. Just let us know how you feeling. How's your family doing? Like, with everything that's going on, how you holding up?
I have a phrase that I use. I'm all right, but I'm not okay. So I mean, unfortunately, I did lose a family member to COVID. There were some health complications, but COVID was the cause. And I had a lot of deaths just in the last 2 years between friends and family. I had a cousin that was on the news at the beginning of March, a murder. So it's a lot. 2020 has sucked, but I'm trying to stay healthy in the soul, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because once I let my spirit break, that's pretty much the end of it. So I'm keeping that going for me. But like I said, I'm all right, but I'm not okay.
Okay. Well, Sarah, Lord Jesus. Tara, how are you doing today?
Ayla, you smoke. Did you smoke?
Earlier I did. What it is that I haven't smoked again since I got off work. I'm tired. It's been a long week for us.
It's been a long 2 months, 3 months already.
Yeah, for real.
Long year, and it's not even, we're barely halfway. But shit flew by. But really, I kind of could sympathize with Kyrell, because I've been feeling like that too. Shit is tough out here, and everybody's kind of like, we're transitioning kind of back to go to work and everything now, so that's a whole nother stressor for everybody, and being around people, that kind of anxiety, because we've all lost somebody to COVID. That was another thing. I had to actually take a break from Instagram, because people are very like insensitive if they didn't have somebody, they didn't lose somebody personally. They're like, oh, COVID is fake. They're forging death certificates. Like, that shit hurt me. I was getting mad on Instagram. I had to deactivate my personal one for a little bit, because that shit was really getting to me because I'm like, yo, I lost my uncle to this shit. How are you gonna tell me it's fake? They're like, he had AIDS, and I'm like, what the yo, these people are wild on the internet. So I'm like, you know what, I gotta take a break because I'm getting consumed by this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all at a weird time right now. You definitely gotta check in with yourself and your friends and family and make sure everybody's doing okay, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, I'm kind of in the same place as well. Like, I'm hanging in there. That's kind of been my general response. Usually the general response is I'm good, I'm chilling. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
Like, I know we did talk about it last episode, and I've lost definitely a couple people to COVID and just other illnesses that were exacerbated by COVID and just life in general that's caused people to pass. But aside from just dealing with everyday issues, the insensitivity had started to get to me a lot, especially around COVID. Because I mean, people are going out of their way to be assholes. You know what I mean? And they're very insensitive about it, or they're taking advantage of situations and exploiting people, and that really bothers me.
Definitely. You know what it is?
So
It's the
that's,
conspiracy theorists. Like, they fucking think they know everything, and like,
well,
you
somebody
know,
tell my landlord that the conspiracies are wrong. Because I
yo,
haven't had hot water for a month. So,
Hey,
bro.
listen,
it's been a thing.
you can only blame them but so much because nobody's really telling the truth anymore. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
really
So,
hard.
but in light of this last week or so, I mean, I'm kind of really, really torn now because I was at a space where I was like, I'm really sad that all this is going on, and sad that we have to go this far with everything. But I'm also very empowered because I feel like people are finally listening a little bit.
Right.
We're seeing some things that have never happened before. So, like, a common phrase to me has been, I can't wait to tell my kids about this one day. Because as scary as this is, I'm like, this is going to be a real interesting conversation one day. So I'm kind of trying to hold on to that more than anything. I've been doing a lot of Zoom with family, and that's been really helpful. But, everybody, like friends and family, have been meant a lot lately, more than usual.
Right.
Yeah, but now that Tower brought up conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
what is you guys' favorite like COVID's conspiracy theory right now? My favorite is the 5G one. Can't lie.
Oh yeah, that was in
I
the
think that's
beginning.
hysterical.
That was in the
Yeah.
beginning.
I still haven't
Yeah.
heard one that was more radical than that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, when that kid said that it was probably AIDS, that shit had me dying too. I was just like, what? They don't even correlate. That's not even
It's
this.
like, man, they don't even work like that.
They're like, the hospital killed. I'm like, yeah, definitely. They were out to get him. Like, what is the hospital getting out of killing people? That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, yeah, in the general sense, yes. But we can definitely touch on that a little bit later too. And then have you guys seen the Epstein documentary on Netflix yet?
I actually was watching it this morning.
Epstein, the guy that yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein, the pedo.
She's crazy.
It's wild. But it's crazy how these girls like were so easily manipulated. It was kind of sad.
At that age, you are easily manipulated. You don't know better.
Yeah. And the thing is, like we had this conversation on the live where you said you had a conversation with your family, like they told you about racism and stuff. And I feel like as, I don't know, white people, we don't like have that conversation, and we probably should, because we are like more vulnerable because we don't have as much like knowledge. We're naive and things of that nature. So that's why those girls were so easy for him to,
Yeah, that was definitely the common denominator. None of them had guidance. Like, none of them.
Yeah.
He specialized in going after runaways.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely crazy. And what I found super, super interesting is just like all the information of him being buddies with Donald Trump. I was like, why is it that every catastrophe that's happened in the last 3 years, you're connected. Somehow connected to it? Like, it, like literally, if my life was fucked, it was a person, it would be Donald Trump.
Yeah, but there was what's his name was there too, Bill Clinton. He was there as well. I mean,
yeah, there was a couple other people that were listed, but like they made it a point to say like he was one of his best customers. That's gross.
Oh, and Prince William, yo, that was crazy.
Yeah, him too, which is also gross. But I mean, he's also gotten like kicked out of the royal family for associating with him, as he should.
Yeah.
True. I'm telling you, yo, the Queen of England must be pissed. Like, you got a pedophile running around. This one goes marries a black girl. Like, what are y'all doing to this old lady? You're gonna give her a heart attack.
My whole thing is like, now I'm like, oh, where the fuck did Melania come from? Like, I know she was a model, but like,
right? I couldn't help but think that. I really would hope not. But
I mean, this is like, this is a hot take right here, but
it is a super hot take. But like, okay, since we're digging in conspiracy theories, let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit. I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, didn't she have issues with her citizenship not that long ago, and it was just not renewed, and she was not supposed to be here? Mike, you put all that stuff together, it sounds kind of crazy.
I mean, he had a sex trafficker. She's Russian. Where the fuck she come from? I mean, like, she was modeling. I get it, but how many? I don't know too many Russian models. I mean, I don't know though. I don't keep up with the modeling.
Kara got all the models though. Kara got all the models, so.
I know like as much as like Tyra Banks, like America's Next Top Model. That's as far as I go. And Tom Brady's wife.
Good answer, Tyra. Good answer. Where's Vanessa? Good answer.
In my field, I'm a stylist, so I at least know the influential models like Irina Shayk and the Hadid sisters, and you know.
Oh yeah, Gigi and Bella. I know them hoes.
He's like, I've seen them on E a couple times.
But did one date The Weeknd or some shit? One of them dated The Weeknd. I'm pretty sure.
Bella,
yeah.
Thanks to Kyrell keeping us up on pop culture.
Gotta know, man. Gotta know.
We're getting old. We gotta stay in the loop.
Yo, it's bad because I'm like literally, oh my God, you guys are gonna laugh. So I'm on Zoom the other night with my niece because it's her birthday. So we did like a little Zoom party for her 10th birthday. So she decides to teach me a TikTok dance.
Uh-oh.
Y'all my witnesses. I used to be able to dance back in the day. I don't know what I was doing.
It's hard. They're going too fast.
I didn't know what was happening. And then there's the delay on the music from the Zoom, so then I got lost, and then it was just a big ass mess.
You're like in the middle of a pose.
Bro,
that was like me with the Savage dance. That shit was hard. It took me like
like I hit this one, and my niece was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh shit, I'm old."
You know what? You know when I started to say like I feel like I'm old, and I try to keep my mouth shut about it, but once a lot of these dance moves start coming out, and I don't need to name any specifics, I'm like, it kind of looks like we retarded. Like, whoa, like when people were doing the whoa, it's like,
yeah, you're like
you're having a seizure, and I didn't realize like having a seizure was a dance move. So I was like, all right. So, I mean, I don't know.
I'm telling you, like you hear yourself say like old fogey comments, and you're like, oh, yeah. I definitely just said that.
Bro, once they started eating Tide Pods, I wasn't with the shits.
Oh nah, that shit different.
I was like, wait, I don't want to be cool anymore. Like,
here's the funny part: they're gonna be the ones that like lead the next generation into like this non-racism and all that stuff, but they're also the ones that eat Tide Pods. So it's like
they got a good
you win some,
balance.
You lose some.
They got a good balance. Hopefully,
yeah, because I thought that was super interesting. Like they're talking about the protest, they were like, one, millennials are leading the charge, and I was like, duh, our life has sucked since we got here. We better be leading the charge.
It wasn't the Gen Z. I thought,
but Gen Z,
they showed up.
Next largest group. Now the thing is, I keep telling people they better leave that Gen Z alone. They got them shooters that don't give a shit about nobody.
We haven't had a school shooting in a long time.
I didn't say school shooting.
Oh, my bad. I'm white. That's where I go.
Listen, I'm being equal opportunity on the Second Amendment here.
I mean, but let's be real. What is the statistics? You know, like
The
they probably are.
statistics of people that can actually get a gun or people that just buy them illegally. Because, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure more black people would have a gun if they could get one. But,
I was
like,
just having an educated
were
conversation about this
talking
right
about
before you did this call, and
Uh,
what I found out, and don't quote me on this because that's just what I found out. I still need to do more research, but you can get a gun, you can get a weapons permit, but uh, it's kind of held by the local municipal, like county, I guess. So that's really the police, and they're not going to give you that. So you're pretty much like you can get a weapon, and you can pretty much only have it unloaded, like with the magazine out of the gun, and at home. But like that's pretty much it.
oh, yeah,
So
no, you can only
really no
use
point.
your gun in your house.
Right.
Unless, in case of emergency.
Jersey
Unless
laws are
you,
pretty,
yeah, it's unless you were previous law enforcement. Because if you're
That's what I'm saying.
previous
It's
law
police
enforcement, you can have permit to carry in public. Because my dad does. My dad, not for nothing.
Shout out to him.
Yo, don't ever roll up on my pops. Because my father is always packing.
Strapped, yo.
Like, you go give him a hug and you're like, that's not your hip.
He got that thing.
Yo, let me tell you. Well,
locked and loaded.
If some shit goes down, you be guy, he with you. But going on to more serious topics, I guess before we get into all the really sad stuff, let's talk about something really happy that happened today. We were talking about it off air right before we got on, but we all got the nice surprise today of Black Lives Matter being painted on the street leading directly to the White House, and also a change to the name of Black Lives Matter Boulevard, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. Or way.
What's the name of the street?
Plaza. There we go, Plaza. But the important part is BLM. That's the important part.
They just went.
Yeah, like, not for nothing. I can't say, like, all right, granted, it's paint. So it's not like making a significant change, but the symbolism of it, I couldn't help but get excited. I can't lie.
Although I know that's only going to make Trump mad. He's probably pouting right now and thinking of what horrible thing he can do to.
I hope when he looks out his bedroom window, he could see it.
Yeah.
Yo.
I hope the world is really watching. I hope they're really watching him, and how he's like a teenager having his temper tantrum. He's so angry. He just needs to,
I said he's like a bitter ex-girlfriend.
My whole thing is, though, the Trump, like, the people that are Trump supporters and voting for Trump, like, I still don't think you can change that. I don't think there's anything that is going to change their mind. Because, like, once you know somebody's a pedophile and that doesn't change your mind about them, like, then it's like, okay, nothing's really going to change your mind.
Mm-hmm. I'm waiting to see that, though. Oh, I'm sorry, Kyrell, go ahead.
Do you know who Candace Owens is, by any chance?
Yeah, she's a Republican. She was on Joe Rogan a few times.
So, but you know how she's very well spoken, which is why.
Yeah. No, she's really smart. She's not a dumb girl.
However, every time she's asked about the grab your pussy thing, right?
From she changes Trump, the subject.
No, she don't change the subject. She chalks it up to, it's just locker room talk. You act like everybody's perfect, and you haven't said that in your personal life. And that's not really a comeback because he's still the president of the United States. He can't be caught with locker room talk. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, but in my
Obama was in the office, they had him under a magnifying
glass. They got pissed off because he wore a tan suit.
And he looked damn good in that tan suit.
He sure did. Yes, sir. Yes.
Obama's one of my guy crushes.
He's just like so he's so charismatic. Looks like my dad. It's really weird.
Your dad got them good.
All jokes aside, my dad looks like a Puerto Rican Obama. We've gotten stopped by people.
Does he do the voice?
Yes, and he can do it well. But we've literally gotten stopped by people where they go, "Oh my God, you look so much like Obama. We have to take a picture." Like, I remember being at Applebee's and I had my brother's baby picture, so I was like fucking with these kids, and I was like, "Yo, I just seen on the news that Obama's love child came out." he had a little boy. They was like, no way. And I showed him a picture of my brother, totally believed it. I was like, yo, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding.
Bro, that's crazy.
Especially because my father got them big ass ears. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I miss fucking Obama when he would do speeches and shit. Like, he was so charismatic.
Did you
Right.
guys
And
catch his most recent speech?
I know some people
Like,
like
some
chalk
of
it
it.
up to like being what do you call it, like a socialist, but you have to if you're able to speak well, you can get people's attention. You actually can give people hope. You know, you can calm things down when it's chaotic. Trump doesn't have that skill set. You know, he believes he does, but he definitely doesn't. He has a skill set of rallying people up, but not calming them down. So it's, you know, it's refreshing to look back on it. Like, man, I do miss that. But beyond that, I mean, just the stupidity that comes out of the White House is just.
Dude, he makes me miss George Bush. And I never thought in a million years I'd say that. But I miss George Bush.
George Bush even made a statement. But I mean,
exactly, and I felt comforted and I was confused.
I'd rather not talk. That's a little touchy because
it is very touchy because I feel away.
So, I mean, the Bush family ain't they're not the
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. If you can even put that into a conversation, that shows you the drastic difference and just how bad he gives it up. You know, and I think it's an interesting case study on management styles as well, because everybody in their jobs, you see, there'll be the one manager that tries to rule with fear. They want to write everybody up. They're an asshole. Nobody likes them. They just do what they say so they don't get it written up. Right. And then there's the other boss that everybody gets along with. They do some fuck shit here and there, but they're generally cool. They don't really mess with you, so you do what they say. You know, I think that it really shows that, like, that whole, you get more with honey.
Yeah, you get more bees with honey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, business only care about the productivity. They want money. So if you get the people together and they're acting unified and they're comfortable in their environment, they're going to be more productive. It's simple math,
but you know, we're the best country ever. We have the best economy ever. I've done more for Black people than Abraham Lincoln. That's your boy.
My whole thing is what's it called? That, like, Obama had flaws as well, but I just feel like we're so divided now. It's so crazy. I mean, I don't know if this is what they wanted. Like, is this what the Republicans wanted, to be more divided? But it just doesn't seem healthy.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure that out too. Like, what do you guys gain from letting this be the way it is? Like, what do you gain from not conceding? Like, y'all still that bitter from the Civil War?
I have an opinion about it, but obviously it's just a theory. It might just be another conspiracy to someone, but I feel like this is like maybe one of the first times in history where you had this many people uniting against, this structure that's been since the birth of the nation. And it's kind of scary for those people in power because, there's power in numbers, right? So it's almost like we're literally at the crossroads with them, and they're going to roll out every single tactic that they have, which I know we're going to get into the topic later, but like, let's throw out there how Asian people and Black people don't get along. Let's throw out there how Spanish people don't even consider themselves Black. They're just going to throw every single tactic out there so that people just stay divided, because the moment we come together, it's a wrap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
That's exactly where we're at with it. But just before we move on a little bit further, I just want to make sure we send love out to all the people that have lost somebody and all those people that have lost their lives. The people in the protests that have lost their lives, they, in my eyes, are true patriots, because they're working for the benefit of this country, not just for the benefit of a small group. And even though, even our founding fathers may not have realized that's what they were doing, that's what they did. So sorry, I fucked up. But it's beautiful to see how, these people were willing to sacrifice their lives and ultimately did for us. So definitely want to make sure I say that. Now, into more serious topics, I wanted to bring up what happened yesterday. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar what happened with the anti-lynching bill yesterday. I feel like it's extremely significant to bring up for the fact that um, George Floyd's murder has been referred to as a modern day lynching. So if you, for just to give the listener some preface to it, the anti-lynching bill is basically doing what the country has supposed it should have done a long, long time ago and say that lynching is illegal. And they've built in a broad set of qualifications that would basically have a mandatory sentence for lynching and specifics. Um, Lynching basically, and you're causing harm to someone in public knowingly for discriminatory purposes, whether that results in serious bodily harm or results in death. Now, this bill was held up yesterday by literally one man, and he was a senator from Kentucky. His argument was that he felt that it shouldn't be so broad because you can end up having a situation where somebody goes to jail for something that shouldn't have been that deep, and then we're adding to the incarceration problem we already have. He used the example, which I felt was very divisive. He used the example of a Black woman that got 10 years for smacking 3 Jewish women. And he said, yeah, he said in that situation, that would have fallen under this category and would have resulted in like a penalty that was too much. So
felony, maybe.
Nonetheless, too many years in jail. That's what he's basically trying to say.
Okay.
I was really proud of Kamala Harris and Cory Booker because they don't always hit the nail on the head, but let me tell you, they were not going down without a fight. They gave him his ass and explained that not only are you doing this on George Floyd's Memorial Day, while his family is preparing to bury him, the country is on fire. Everybody is in the streets. Everybody's telling you this is a problem. And this is something that Congress can do that would help. It's not necessarily going to end everything, but at least give people some hope.
Right.
I felt like that's something important to bring up because I know we've been trying to advocate for doing the census, for going out there and voting. I understand how people feel about all of those things right now, especially at a time like this where we've had all kinds of hacking and stuff. But that is the example right there. The difference of one vote. Now, on the grand scheme of things, that doesn't seem like the case, but it takes a whole lot of votes to get that one vote. So imagine what we can do in our own communities on the local level when this is what's happening on the national level. So I just want to remind people, you know, your local elections are coming up. This year is a big year for the national election. And we don't got choices. Like this is your duty. So you need to do something and get in where you fit in.
Kayla 2020.
Just to add to you, Kayla, for the people watching this who maybe feel like I do, where you kind of really feel like it's pointless, like this whole system is just completely rigged. It really doesn't matter. It's all an illusion just to make you believe. Even if you feel that way, just at least do that part. At least do that part. What harm is it really bringing to you if you just go out and, even if you want to mail in the vote, whatever, just do that part to at least keep people like Trump from being a president. Try. Yeah. It's better than nothing. That's it. That's all we can say about it as of right now until we have a different solution. It's better than nothing. So, you know, there really should be no other excuse after that. Just do something. You know?
Exactly. And I feel like, I get where people feel that it's hopeless, but what people are forgetting in terms of protesting does not just have to be you on the front lines. We got that. You can't do that. You have kids, you have a pre-existing condition, whatever the situation that makes you feel uncomfortable about being outside, we got that. We willing to go out there. Now, everybody got to get in where they fit in. Is that calling your senators? Is that calling your councilmen? Is that signing a petition? Is that donating money? You know, email. At the turn, at America's founding, there were people sitting on their ass writing the Declaration of Independence while there was people outside kicking other people's ass. You know, There was somebody over here making food, somebody over there making. You do what's within your wheelhouse, because I don't want to be that person either that tells people what they should and shouldn't do. I just want people to do what their heart is telling them to do, but you got to do something, because I know if your heart is telling you to do nothing right now, you're useless. And don't complain about shit.
I 1,000,000,000% agree with you, except for one group of people, the ones that say all lives matter. I better see your ass out there protesting that. That's it. Besides that, everyone else, you get in where you fit in. You shouldn't be pressured to do any one particular thing. Help however you can. But if you're gonna say all lives matter, bring your ass out there and protest then, because you're saying that all lives matter. So show me.
Exactly. So show me my life matters too, since everybody's life matters.
That's a good point, yo. Honestly. But I wanted to ask you guys: Did you see Nick Cannon with the signs?
Oh yeah.
Telling people not to vote, and I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
He means well.
On.
But you know what?
Why is he doing that?
Because he has very strong opinions about voting, and he feels like that following the system that's already in place is pointless, that we're better off doing it by charge. So like, if you, on the flip side to him saying don't vote, if you watch the video that he put out in regard, it was like a spoken word video where
I seen it.
That when you look at that video,
dope.
I did shows every time I talk about that video, because he found a way to bring in all the little nuances of how we feel and the things that we hide
and still be corny about it. So
stupid.
You know it was corny though.
Well, it must have been because my mom sent it to me, so you know. My mom was like, "Oh, this is great," and I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was great too.
You know who my mom?
Be good.
My mom sent me The Rock. I was like, "Oh, okay, Rock's out here. I fucks with The Rock."
He said he was gonna run for president.
Yo,
for real, what happened?
Kayla and The Rock for president. Oh my god,
I'm too young. Dwayne Johnson, we need you.
Yo, for real.
For real, where's T'Challa?
Yo, he'd fuck up Trump. He'd fuck his ass up one like.
He'd just be like, gone. Oh my god, that would be the funniest cabinet of all time.
Kevin Hart and The Rock?
Yeah, yep. President and vice president.
No,
Kevin Hart, Secretary of State.
Kevin Hart be out here doing some wild shit. You know what though? I listened to him on Joe Rogan, and his whole story is so crazy. Like when he broke his back and he got better, like people like told him he was never gonna walk again, and he fucking is like running, like he's exercising. That's
he better learn how to run, because who was in that car with him?
Right. Even his origin story, just how he started, and how, I mean, he's like one of the funniest people on the planet now, and people were like, "Man, you're so corny. You're not." You got all these other great black comedians out here. You're never gonna. And this guy is the comedian right now. You know, like he's the big bucks comedian. It just that's crazy. It makes me proud. You know.
Definitely. So I want to move into the main part of our discussion. Just to preface everything for people, we kind of fell into this conversation. In our area, being that we're in the Northeast, there's a high population of Blacks and Hispanics that interact with each other.
Let's go.
We've seen the common thread online. One bringing up, yo, Latinos, y'all just as dark as us, where you at? And then on the other hand, you see Latinos going, yo, y'all need to stop saying that y'all not Black. We're Black. This is our fight too. And we're seeing a lot of that conversation, and then people are also saying, you know, which we are sensitive to, that right now is not the time to talk about internal issues. But I feel like it's very relevant, because for one, you can't love somebody else until you love yourself. Point blank, period.
Got it.
You know? So I felt like Kyrell hit me up in a text, and I mean, we've been kind of like slow on topics because news has just been like the same topics for the most part, and everything's happening so fast. It's kind of hard to figure out what'll make it to the next episode. But Kyrell hit us up with the suggestion to have a conversation about Black and Latino relations in times of diversity. And I felt that really hit home for me, being that I am Black and I am Latina. So that, and I feel very caught in the middle in this conversation. So I'm really glad we're having it. Um, and as well, I feel like it would be an opportunity for us to kind of delve into some of the questions we have. It's not saying, um, again, this isn't necessarily like a conversation that is finite for right now, but it's something worth thinking about because we're all looking into what's next after we're done protesting.
That's
So,
right. So
so go ahead.
before you even go into the details here, I think it's important to just highlight what what is racism. Racism is not just I don't like you because your skin color. That could just be under the definition of prejudice too. Um, Racism is much deeper than that. I mean that's like holding back resources from a group of people so that they can't succeed. There's a system involved in that. It's so much more complex than just I don't like you because of your skin color. So as people are talking across social media, saying that I'm Latino, I'm light skinned or I'm dark and I have racist people in my family, you're really not racist, and the reason why is because you're actually in the same boat as black people. You're like considered the scum of the country. Yes, there are successful Hispanic, and yes, there are successful black people, but in comparison to the number of us in the country, it's not much. Um, so you're in the same boat as us. I know you don't want to, people don't like to say that. Of course, why would you want to, associate yourself with the lowest point of the country? I get that, but that's what it is. So it doesn't matter what you think your opinion is. This is not a battle between us, black, Latino, or even black and white. Honestly, it's pure racism versus kindness and love. It's really a love and hate fight right now. At the end of it, at the root of it. So it's important to start this conversation with that. Keep that in mind as we start talking about this because it's much deeper than what we're gonna say. But go ahead, Kayla. Let's move on.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we wanted to kind of at least at the very minimum hit the surface on it because it is deep. It is deep. You can spend years and years learning about the depths of racism and what's happened and what structures and what things were put into place that bring us to where we are now. And I think why it's really uncomfortable for people to discuss race is because we have to go back. You can't talk about today without talking about yesterday. Where when we're angry or people are upset, you try to stay in the moment. And our country is a very young country. So that's something that's unique to us here. Where in other countries where they've been around for thousands of years, they understand that concept. That's something that as a country we're learning. And I feel like as Blacks and Latinos, we've kind of had a disadvantage systematically. I mean, we know that. But I feel like in terms of learning who we are, being that was stolen from us, I feel like it's extremely detrimental because even the relations between us speaking to someone that's Black from an African country, it's a very different dynamic in how we view each other and how we see the world. So I'm really glad that you brought that up to us, and I'm really excited for us to talk about this. So now, first, we're gonna talk. I wanted to ask the first question to you guys. What from your knowledge, what does it mean to be Latino?
Go ahead, Tara. Let me see what you got.
Oh damn! Put me on a spot.
Yeah, Tara, you gotta get with the get down, girl. This the cookout.
Being Latino is just like at the purest form, like just dancing and like being happy, eating. Like it's almost considered like similar to Italians. That's why I think like a lot of my friends are Spanish because they understand. Like our families are very similar. Like we just want to like party and have fun and eat.
Okay.
And just a question for you: did anybody ever teach you about where salsa, merengue, all that came from?
Yeah, definitely. Like my one friend, he used to teach me how to dance and stuff when we were at parties and things of that nature.
Okay.
And like he was straight from Colombia.
but did he teach you about where those dances come from, like where they're rooted
Like the
in?
history of them.
Oh, no. I mean, like we would party
Yeah,
together,
talk about
obviously.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'll
we
just
had
this
those
might
kind of
blow your
things.
mind though. This might blow your mind. I just want to add this to what you already know about it, but
Word.
it's funny how people do, and you're not the first one to say it, but they associate Spanish culture with more of a European culture like Italy, when in actuality it's an African culture. Those are African dances. They just, through over time and, obviously a different experience in South America and different places, they've, kind of taken on their own forms, but it's clearly that's where it comes from. And you do have in every Southern American country, they always tell you it comes from the Afro this or the Afro that. So you're Afro Cuban or you're Afro Latina or Afro Latino, because that's where it comes from. I guess the people who are really there the longest are the ones like deep in the island. They kind of know that, but there's a lot of things in the history that happened that's now starting to wash that out and make it look like it's something else. Trujillo is somebody that I can't stand. Very hated person, but also loved because he did do a lot of things for the Dominican Republic, but he's responsible for the whitewashing of the country. So that's why you see Dominicans that are light skinned and then some that are like, they make me look like I'm not even African. They're more African than me. So it's that European conquer and divide that was brought like it was everywhere else. And now you have this new generation of Spanish people that are pretty much going against the old generation of Spanish people. So it's like, I know that I'm light skinned, but clearly in my family and clearly in my culture, I see that it's African based. And they accept that. But then you do have the other side of it where it's like, I don't want to acknowledge that. I don't want to accept that. I don't see that because all I see is the light skin in the mirror. I identify as more European. And now in 2020, for some strange reason, Latino has become a blood. Not when I say like ethnicity, like if you go and get you go to get a DNA test done, like ancestry, you're not gonna get Latino or Latina. You're gonna get Taino, Indian, African. You're from this region. So when someone says, "Oh, I'm Latino or Latina," what does that really even mean? Besides the fact that I'm from South America, but what are you? What's your blood? Where are you really from?
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. So
yeah, I think that's a really great point that you make. And even the terms that are Latinos, I'm noticing it's like they're going through like a late civil rights movement, because while we were going through civil rights over here, over there ain't shit changed with the weather. So there's a lot of delayed responses to things. Having people, Latinos are pushing the envelope on being more accepting of queer people. That's not a thing. And I think I almost feel like it's a stronger thing in Hispanic cultures than it is in Blacks. How deep that goes in some cases. So there's a lot of those different aspects that you would think, because there's been progress here, there'll be progress in those places as well. But they kind of isolated themselves in a way. So the terms are changing. That's where you get the Latinx and things like that. And even those terms have technical definitions that tell you geographically where you are from, which gets way more complicated than we need to for this conversation. But getting back to what you were saying about dancing is interesting, again, like you said, that you referred to similar to Italian, because as well, in Italy, it's so close to Africa that there are a lot of, especially, in the South, they're darker.
Some dark Italians, right? Dark Italians. Yeah.
That's because of that relation to Africa. So they have a lot of influence as well, which I think that's why a lot of Italians and Hispanics can kind of meet at the minds. The language is very similar. There's a lot of cultural things that are similar, but that's one, because you got Africa at the south and you got Spain at the north.
Spain. Right.
So you guys kind of got a taste of everything that we're made of, Now, when it comes to the islands themselves, and South America, things like that, there are a lot of areas where they're still very indigenous to the African culture, which isn't very well understood to people. You know, in Puerto Rico, a traditional dance bomba, if you heard it, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between many of the African countries that have tribal dances, because that's what it is. It's a tribal dance. And it's the same thing in Dominican Republic, Cuba, and a lot of those other countries. And the reason that you see how you said your friend from Colombia was the one that was trying to teach you these dances. When you think about it, the reason that it went to Colombia and it also went here is because those people came from the same groups. So they've kind of developed in a very similar manner. But it's something that I feel like Latinos, you have a weird duality where you know a lot of your history and your culture, and what it is, and you have a lot more that's tangible, but there's the whitewashing, that white supremacy is just layered on top of it. That's like, yeah, you could claim everything from Africa, but you're gonna tell everybody it's not African. So that I feel like is a massive dilemma. Now that kind of brings me to the next portion of our topic, which is the internal racism and how that works with white supremacy. To start that off, I feel like that's a similar problem that we have with Blacks as well, where either you're Black from another place, so you've identified as an other, but as well, Blacks in our country are not knowledgeable about the Black diaspora, which, if you're not familiar with that term, that means Blacks everywhere around the world.
Right.
So they're more centralized to here because, of course, we've all lost our history in different ways. So it's valuable for us to learn about us, that sometimes I feel like we forget to learn about other people that come from the same place that we do. So it creates this internal battle amongst Blacks about who comes from where, who's more Black, whose struggle is more. We play the struggle Olympics with each other. And we don't realize that this was placed on us by separating our families as soon as you got off the boat, or before you even got off the continent, or you got to watch your whole family die and now you will never see anybody you ever knew again. It kind of, over generations, it kind of takes away those bonds that you would naturally have. And white people do take that for granted because it's something you've always had. I'm not saying every white person in their family is perfect, because we all know that's not the case. But in the general sense of the culture itself, or different cultures, like, for example, Italians, you guys are very family oriented by culture, right?
Yeah.
So family is extremely important. Where you guys understand that family is important because it's a blood bond. Where for us, we think family is important to us because it's very rare to have a full family. It's very rare.
We're used to having it taken from us, or never really complete,
or being compromised in some way. That's something that's a lot more prevalent. So I think that that's something there. Now, I know when we came to this conversation, you brought this to me, Kyrell. I want to know the place you were coming from in this, because I know where we're talking about right at this moment was the root of your conversation. So what was going through your mind that made you want to have this talk?
In terms of the internal?
Yeah, just in terms of like that internal struggle and what you've been seeing.
I use, I want to, it sounds like I'm going to go off, but I'm not. I want to use Black Panther, the movie, which I hope everyone that's watching this has seen it. If you didn't, you need to see it. It's not only a good movie, or even if you don't like the movie, it's actually educational too. But I feel like there's a lot of different ways you can take the film, but I'm just taking one symbolism out of it. So, T'Challa is the African representation of us. That's where we come from. That's our roots. But then Michael B. Jordan's character is the African American. And the reason why they're two different characters, although they're both Black characters, is because they're different experiences. They both had different experiences. And the comparison and like the contrast between them in the movie is very interesting because that's our internal battle. We don't really know who we are. We're trying to figure that out. And it's embarrassing to say that because we have so many friends that, you know, they show their Italian flag, they show their Puerto Rican flag. Everybody's so proud of where they came from. And all we have is like, we're not really proud to say we're African American because there's a lot of blood and you know, horrific things that happen. We don't have anything to really be proud of like that, you know. So we deal with that every day, and people don't even recognize that when they're doing that. You know, they're like, oh, we're so happy to be, you know, this and that, and it is a battle. It's hard, you know. It's hard when you look yourself in the mirror and you're trying to figure that out. So then when you have African Americans that go to Africa to maybe find out, you know, a little bit more about their roots, you're already judging the African people because it's a part of that brainwashing. You're like, oh, well, I went through this in my country and you guys don't know what it's like. And that should not that is the same problem that spills right into why we have people who don't think that they're black and all around the world. You know, it's the same problem. I mean, why am I called an African American? And then if I move to France, or if I was born in France, why am I not called African French? Like, why is that only associated in America? Why? Like, it's...
Yeah. I feel like because it goes back to that unique experience that African Americans have, and that's something I feel like is something that Latinos also need to open their eyes to as to why Blacks feel the way that they do, because the difference in a lot of those countries is, granted, we are you had your descendants of people that came from another place, but some of your people stayed right there and they came to the home front and screwed it up. So there's roots that are still there. They may have been burned down to the little nitty bitty nub, but there was something there that was tangible to hold on to, that you could, you know, there's a cave that maybe somebody didn't know was there because they're not from the island, that you can be like, look, this is my people. That's where, you know, people in the Caribbean, they hold on to Taino culture so tightly because that is our root to that location. Right. Blacks don't have that, period. Right. That whole piece gets removed. I had an interesting conversation. Two of my friends were here from Israel, and they're both Black. They are by ethnicity Ethiopian. They are Jewish. And I had never met a Black Jew that was immigrating here in my life. So I had a billion questions. So, because I'm like, these are Black people that, like, they know where they come from. So tell me about where you come from. I want to know something. It feels good, you know? Yeah. And looking at them, they were like, you know, I never thought about that. I never asked my mom. I was like, why not? And they look at me and they're like, why is this such a big deal to you? And I was like, because we don't have that. And then when I broke it down to them, they were like, yeah, when I go back, I got questions from my mom now. You know, because it was like they got a moment to value my amazement with them. You know, I was amazed that I was like, wow, even in your language, you listen to the same type of music I do. The way you cook your food, you use different seasoning, but when you taste it, it tastes the same. Like, it was that moment where I was like, Black is Black anywhere. Wow, that's really a thing. Yeah, you know? Right. And like, it's a shame that I had to wait until I was 26 to feel like that. It was when I was in my early 20s that I was like, oh, yo, like, all these people that be like, oh, you're half Puerto Rican, you're not Black. Fuck you, because you don't know what you're talking about. I'm more Black than I'm anything else. This is great. And I got to feel good about it, not be judged for that, you know? Now, a question that I have for you now, I also want to pose this question to Tara, because Tara was in a very unique position in where she grew up, growing up in Passaic, because she, that's where I feel like Tara makes for a very good ally, because she knows what it's like to be the only one that looks like her in the class.
Oh, yeah.
She knows what it's like to be judged for something that is not a choice, you know? She may not be a Black woman, but she can sympathize on a level that I feel like is difficult for a lot of people because she has a frame of reference.
That's right. She also knows what it's like to be best dressed in high school.
Gang, gang.
Yeah. Hey.
But so I want to ask you, Kyrell, growing up, what was your experience like being Black, and when did you realize that you were Black?
Oh yeah. So just a quick background too. I am Native American and Black. I know a lot of people say, yeah, we all have a little bit in us, but I can show you a picture of my great grandmother. Like it's not that far back in my bloodline. My mom is actually like golden bronze kind of color. She's not really like, or like Alicia Keys tint, because that's how, not far back it is. And she has reddish hair. Um, so it was interesting, because I always knew I was Black. That's the way my parents raised me. You're Black. You have some Native American in you, but you're Black. So I didn't really, I mean, I grew up in Black culture. I knew what it was, but I guess it didn't hit me until my first police harassment issue is when I really like, okay, I learned about Martin Luther King, but now I really got to pay attention, because I didn't, I took it for granted because I didn't experience, you know, being harassed. I just saw it on TV. I just saw it on documentaries, and I thought it was horrible. And just, I don't know why it didn't phase me, because I guess I lived in my own bubble. I lived around a lot of people that thought like me in the ghetto, quote unquote. So I think that's probably it. I was just, I guess I'll just share that story. I got pulled over on Route 3 in Clifton. It was two white cops, blonde hair, blue eyes, short haircuts. It was my first time ever getting pulled over. I did everything I was supposed to do. I had my hands on the steering wheel, turned the car off, had the window down, was ready, and they just immediately just harassed me. They got me. They got me to get out the car. I had all my things removed out of my pockets. They were telling me. I asked them why they were even pulling me over. They said I was doing 100 something miles an hour. I did know at that moment something was wrong completely. I was not going 100 miles an hour. And
That's fast, Kyrell. Slow down.
Yo, I'm telling you, I just cooperated, because at that moment, that was the first time I was harassed. So it wasn't hitting me at that moment that I was being harassed. I was just
It's also like nerve wracking. I mean, even like as a white person, I get scared getting pulled over. Yeah. I get scared. I do. I don't like confrontation. That's my thing.
I understand. Yeah.
You know what, too, though, Tara? It's interesting again that you say that, because I feel like that also has to do with where you come from. Because you think about it, Tara, everybody that's around you growing up, they don't like cops. You have like when you going into, say your light, if your license set Passaic and you go into certain areas, they're gonna still be looking at you like, is she maybe light skinned Spanish? Right. What's she doing over here?
Yeah.
You know what? So I feel like that's a unique experience too.
Kayla, hold that thought, because that just reminded me of something that someone told me once, and it stuck with me, and I think it's perfect to share right now. What you're speaking of is your pretty much your perspective, right? It's that cultural experience you're having. It's that perspective, right? Tara grew up around us. That was her perspective. She got to see what it was like, I guess, if you want to quote unquote say from the bottom looking up, right? But then that's why it's so easy for these people, specifically and more especially white people in the rural, nice areas who grew up with money and nicer neighborhoods and had great relationships with police. It's easier for them to just say, why do you just like judge all the police so easily? Because their experiences with them are much different than it is with us. They're not getting those questions that we get. They get out of tickets for no reason. Just get out of tickets like, all right, I know you're a good person, I'll let you go. We don't get that. That's not our experience. So it's hard for them to understand when that's never happened to them. They never had a cop pull a gun out on them just because they thought they were holding something. They never had. It's just not the experience. So they can't really ever truly understand. They can't.
Yeah, because it goes back to that whole frame of reference portion. I feel like And that's definitely significant because I get a lot, being that my father's a retired law enforcement officer. I get, oh, but you don't get it. You got a go kart. You pick it out. They let you go. And I'm like, did y'all not watch Family Matters? Eddie got arrested too. And let me tell you, all jokes aside, it sounds funny as hell. But I remember being in my house and watching that episode. You know what the conversation after was? Hey, guess what? That could be you too. Don't get it twisted because I'm a cop. And guess what? Again, just like Kyrell, you hear that, you're taught that, and just like anything else your parents teach you, you take it for granted until it happens. And then when it happened to me and I have an officer asking me like, oh, before I run your license, is there anything I need to know? You need to know what the fuck my name is, and I have a license and registration. Take the shit and move on your mosey way.
Facts.
Take your little chubby ass back to the car, run my shit, and come back and tell me to go home. Like, this is a speeding ticket. It's nothing to that point. Like, what were you waiting for me to tell you I had a warrant?
Let me tell you a crazy, like, a white privilege like experience I've had with Vanessa a lot, because she has like a race car and she has tints on her windows. So she gets pulled over a lot, right? And like I know it's not funny, but in Lincoln Park they pull her over just to see her car sometimes. I swear. Because they're like, oh, so how fast can you get it? And they ask her shit about her car. And I'm like,
wow.
You got somewhere to be, my guy. But if, like, I'm saying, like, if you guys
I can give you the complete opposite, because I've had that happen where I've been I got stopped for tints in my father's car. Now, granted, my dad had absurd tints on his car. Like, don't get me wrong. It looked like a NARC car. It was a Charger, like, had the look.
Mm-hmm.
So I get pulled over driving his car, and I was in Teterboro. The cop goes, license registration. And now I'm panicking because I can't find the registration because it's not my car and my dad's glove compartment is a mess. So I'm like, oh my God, he's going to arrest me because I cannot find my paperwork. What got me out of it is that I was able to find my gold card.
Oh.
When he ran the gold card, it had my father's name, and that was literally the only reason he let me go, and he made it a point to say that. He made it a point to tell me that you're lucky that this is your father's car, because if it was yours, I'd be impounding your car right now. Mind you, it's a fly-ass Charger, got fly-ass tints on it, looks clean, look like he could have very well been like, oh, is it a Hemi engine? But
yeah, why was he trying to?
Because the level of tints is considered illegal, but if my dad was driving the car, it would not be considered illegal because of him being previous law enforcement. Yeah. That's just like one of those things that you get after retirement, but
it's a fraternity. Like, you're in it forever.
Yeah, I can't really say no. Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, it is, and so like that's where that kind of, it's one of those moments that I'm like, there's times that I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Like, even when I go to these protests, I get a lot of be careful all the time. And my response is, I'm going out there because my consequences are different. I am Black, so I know exactly how this feels. But if I was to get arrested and it was the three of us, Tara might have it the easiest. And the only reason I'm going to have it a little bit easier is because I keep a little piece of tin in my wallet. So I'm gonna use that.
I got that too, though.
Ability to help people. Yeah, so you'll be home free. They're gonna just at least book me and tell my father to pick me up. Kyrell, they're gonna be like, lock the key, and he's a guy. You know, and I feel like that it's unfortunate, but I was like, if I'm afforded at least even that sliver of privilege in the world that we come from, I'm gonna use it to help us. You know. I'm like, I'm not going to feel embarrassed to go into a jail if I had to. Now, I promised my family that I would not go out of my way for it to happen.
Right.
But they still feel that sense of fear because they're like, you don't have to be looking for it when you look like us. Right. You don't. And one of the things I said to someone recently, which gets back to that internal racism aspect, I think it's important to realize, and this is not just for Latinos, this is not just for Blacks, this is Asians, this is Muslims, this is anybody of other. When a racist person looks at you, the color of your skin is only a benchmark for how dangerous you could be.
Right.
It's not that they look at you different, and I think that's where we get stuck. We get stuck on fighting on oh, but you're lighter, so you have it easier. Not realizing that we all gonna get hit with the same bullshit. It's just how deep your bullshit is depends on how deep, how close to the big house you are.
Right.
And that stuff that stems from back then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would just say that to anybody that's watching this, or even if you want to share this to someone who maybe you've heard say something like this before, like, I'm not black, when clearly they're darker color, and I can understand if they're saying they're not black because maybe they're Bangladesh, or maybe they're I don't know, they're Guyanese, and they believe that they're more Indian or whatever it is. The point of the matter, when it comes to a racist person, and you can be, say, a cop, any person in authority, they don't give a crap. Are you kidding me? You ever heard a racist person ask you, oh, but what part of Guyana are you from? Maybe that's going to determine if I'm going to call you the N-word or not. They don't care. You're black. Like, dude, you're black. Stop acting like that. You're going to be treated just like us. I don't understand why they have this, like, complex, like they're really not in the same boat.
The reference that I like to use is, you act like you ain't never heard of a black person passing for white. People were cool with a lot of black people until they found out they were actually black. They're like, oh, we're cool with Mary, but when we find out you're married May, it's a whole other conversation. So I feel like that is more important to focus on than how close to the big house we are. Because that's really all this conversation is, you know? It's like that conversation of the boat stop. Okay, so my people got off on the stop before yours, so we had a couple more hours or days to go that were going to be a little bit more uncomfortable than yours. But we were still going to end up with the same whips, with the same chains, with the same brutalization, the same emasculation, the same rape, the same, everything, every horrible thing you can think of, we all got hit. There was no difference. You know?
So wait, can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
So then how do you feel about Tekashi saying the N-word? Like, I just want to know, because I don't know. How do you feel since he ratted and shit? Is he still?
I'm gonna say my brief piece, and I'm gonna let Kayla take over. My brief pieces, and I mean no disrespect, because I know you guys like Tekashi, but he's a piece of shit, and his music is a piece of shit. So I'll let Kayla take over.
Okay.
Well, I like to make fun of Tekashi. I'm here for the fuck shit. I like to watch the train crash. Don't mean that is right, but it's entertaining as shit. The same reason that I watch the Kardashians, the same reason I keep up with the hell that's going on with 6ix9ine.
Yo, fact.
Now, I feel like, Tara, you made it specific to the person, but I feel like it's bridging a broader conversation and using the N-word. That's something that, just like they say black is a monolith and you can't speak for everybody, it's very hard to speak on how black people feel about the N-word, because it's a spectrum. You may get a person. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just saying, adding to what you're saying. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot of opinions around it. Like you said, it's a spectrum. You know, you can use Ice Cube as an example. Ice Cube probably had the best way to describe why he uses the N-word. He said it's his way. It's empowerment, because we took the word back. We changed it and made it ours. You know, it was a word that was used against us. Now we're using it to empower. So you can take it as symbolism in that sense. Then there are the other end of the spectrum where they're like, man, you sound really stupid. Like you just fell for the trap and you're just calling yourself the same word over and over. Your ancestors would be, they were killed and brutalized with that word. And here you are using it to say that it's empowerment. So it's a really tricky subject.
Yeah.
Too many different opinions about it. The fact of the matter is, only black people can really touch it. That's at the end of the day, only black people can touch it. If you're white,
better safe than sorry.
Right, and I don't mean white like white Spanish person, because you're black, and that's for my black people watching.
And that's also a part of the spectrum, because I fall into that category where I'm a person that, if you have black lineage, I don't have a problem with it. Now, But that goes exactly to your point of that spectrum. You kind of get people that lean. Some people be like, well, if you're Spanish and look black, I'm okay with it. But if you're Spanish and look white, I don't want to hear it. You know, so it's definitely a spectrum on that. Now, what I feel like this is an appropriate time to discuss how we feel about white people saying it specifically, and how to approach that if I was a white person. Like we said, better safe than sorry, don't say it. But there are spaces where some people are comfortable with it, where I'm not going to sit here and act like that's okay, but I feel like that's something worth recognizing, because I feel like it's a kind of like I'll speak to my own experience, because again, I can't speak for other people. I won't sit here and act like I won't let a white person say nigga in front of me, but there's qualifications. I take into context where
Hard
you grew
R.
up. Oh yeah, hard R is always a no. You're never gonna win with a hard R. You're gonna get punched in the face with a hard R. Like, and in some areas it might be worse.
I've seen
if
people
it's a hard
get
R
in the face for that shit.
Yeah,
I've
like hard R, that there's a certain level of disrespect that's implied with that there's no nice way to say that.
It just, I don't know, when I hear people
ugly,
say it sounds disgusting.
uglier.
Like I just get irked. Like I get
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say, like I was saying, I'm not gonna say I never let a I've never let a white person do it, but there's levels to it. Again, like where you come from, I feel like develops your language, and when you grow up in an area that's all you've known, you know more about those people culture than you know about your own. I can see where that comes from, but you better know there's a time and place for that shit. This is in-house family shit that I allow you to do. The same way, like, your parents let you do certain shit in the house that you better not do outside.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it the same way. I might let you say it, but one, don't let that shit slip out your mouth one too many times, because I'm going to have a conversation with you about it. And you know when you're saying something too much. Like, the same way, if your parents don't like cursing, you know you curse too much in front of your parents and have a field day. But if you just say damn one time, they might not be that mad.
I got soap in my mouth, yo. That's just not cool.
See, there you go. Just think about it. If you say nigga too much, you're gonna get soap in your mouth.
Exactly. Like it's
right. So
nasty as hell.
That's my thing. But like,
especially dish soap. You ever get dish soap in your mouth?
Nah. I got my ass whooped. We ain't do that.
I was bad.
And just we ain't do the soap, but because my mom was like, the soap expensive.
Oh wow.
But I feel like that's something that is there, but I feel like that's also a case by case basis. So you really need to know your friends and know where your friends are and have those. And like, if that's something that somewhere that you come from and you're a white person that you have found yourself saying the word and you say that in front of your friends of color, I feel like this is a perfect time to have those conversations on like, hey, I know I've said that for a while, but is that really okay with you? Like, I feel like it, it's important for white people right now to learn how to ask questions.
That's true.
Because you right now, especially at a time like this, like we said before, right? A lot of people like us feel that it's not our job to teach you. Now, granted, in terms of the history and all those things, yes, but I don't think it hurts to ask somebody about their personal experience. But you do have to keep in mind that it's a lot of deep-rooted pain that you're asking for a conversation that's going to exhaust somebody.
Right.
So,
and if it's making you uncomfortable, best believe we are extremely uncomfortable. So it's okay.
I can imagine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is okay. We'll be uncomfortable together.
Exactly. But just like how you asked, like, hey, is it appropriate for this person to speak the N-word? And it broke open the bigger conversation.
Mm-hmm.
There's room for that. But I feel like it's all about the approach, be extremely sensitive. Like, don't ask people about the entire Black experience. Ask about them. What their specific experience is like. What's something you wish somebody would have known about you, or whatever the case is. And then as well, if you want to learn more about us and where we come from, ask for the name of a fucking book, or ask for an article, or ask, hey, what should I put in the search bar on Google? Don't ask me to teach you, because I barely know, because the shit was taken from me. So we don't exactly know either. We got bits and pieces of information. You're gonna do better off asking somebody that got a dissertation on it.
Yeah, we're. I think this in 2020. I don't want to take too much credit away. I think we've made a lot of progress
Huge
and
strides.
kind of piecing together the culture and starting to connect back to Africa and stuff. And I can use another movie as an example, actually, Avatar, and not the last Airbender, but the blue
Even
people.
though the last Airbender is amazing, but
It's
we're not
still
talking about
relevant too. It is relevant.
that. It is
in another
relevant.
context, but I'm using the blue people because of how they use that being connected with nature symbolism. It's very tribal. Some people say it's Native American. It's African too. I'm sure James Cameron meant it to be African. And it's just that like now we're starting to, you have tribes from different parts of the world, but we're all connected to the same tree. Like
Yeah.
it's just it's gonna do amazing things for, believe it or not, for everyone. If Black people can find their identity, come out of this black hole that we keep getting put in, it actually helps everybody else.
The
Like we've
sunken
been,
place.
Yeah.
right?
I
Because
mean, that's the
our
thing too.
culture has pushed forward things. Our technology pushed forward things. Our like we have done things. It's unfortunate that it doesn't get taught in school, but we've done so much for the world. Forget just the country, the world, and it would bring everybody out of the sunken place if we can get out of the sunken place.
Exactly. Yeah, because I think too that's two interesting points that I've revisited over the week. I heard, God, I forget who the hell was saying it. Something I was watching and they were saying they asked someone from South Africa what was it like when apartheid was ending, and the explanation they gave was very similar to now. Um, uh, that's who I think it was Eddie Griffin actually, because I heard him talking about it and I thought it was really interesting point he gave that.
Trevor Noah is good too with that.
Yeah, Trevor Noah gives an excellent experience on it. But what he said was that back then in the civil rights movement, one of the biggest things that we had was there were leaders guiding the movement. Right now, there's no leaders. It's us. People are just being compelled to do something. And he said, you can't cut the head off a snake if there's no head. And I was like, that is something so powerful, because that's it. When you look around, it's like, I mean, Kyrell, how many white people you seen recently that, or have you experienced somebody coming to you saying, I am so sorry. like they just had an epiphany.
Yeah.
I thank God that I picked the right white friends. All of my friends have been amazing and have said what they're supposed to.
Right. Now, I don't want to. I want to give Tara credit, obviously, because she's been there with us. She went to protest.
Yes.
She's quote unquote risking herself too, because we know what could happen at the protest. So, not that I want to take credit away from anybody else that maybe they can't go to the protest or all they can do is post, but I want to see more than just words too. I'm sorry, but it's that whole movement about being anti-racist is absolutely 100% true. I don't need you to just be not racist anymore. I need you to be anti-racist. I need you to tell your friends and your family. I need you to get into arguments the way Tara be doing on Facebook. You got to go against the grain. You have to. I know it's uncomfortable. I know nobody wants to break. Family is everything to you. It's like almost like why would I do that for you? But
you're trading my life for your comfort.
It's right. It's just morally right.
It's that simple. That's the thing right. I think people forget, is that this is a life and death for us. It's literally that simple. It's literally what the American dream stands for. This is our right to even take a look at that.
Right.
Or die. And I think you better make a good point with that, because that's something that I've been pleasantly amazed by. Seeing that was something too that, like, when we went out for Clifton, that really hit me home, was seeing all these people of all different races and colors and ages coming out and saying, yo, them people, take care of them, cut it out. This is enough. I'm tired. And I'm like, well, we've been tired, but thanks for taking up with us now. This is nice. Like seeing people in other countries protesting for us.
Yo, we're sick of this shit.
Yeah, like what was it they were saying in England? They were like something like their chant was like something like America, how many brothers or sisters gonna die today or something like that. And I was just like, wow, like one, they realized we're not Trump because he's our representation. So thank God for that. That's one. But two, this is the first time in any of our lives that any of us somewhat feel seen, but like seen as a human. Not just seen like, oh, that sucks. You guys went through some shit. Like, oh no, like stop the press.
Yeah.
50
beautiful.
states, bro. 50 states, like,
and 18 countries.
In country.
Yeah.
That shit makes me so emotional. Like, I don't even know how to describe what that is. And it's so new to all of us that, like, I feel like a lot of us almost don't know what to do with it.
You know, because we're not used to it. We're used to getting punched in the mouth and spit on. So it's like now we're getting hugs, and it's like, why are you hugging me? Like, we don't even know what to do with it. It's that different, you know? And
it's love. It's definitely love, but it's also like people finally like waking up and they're like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
But the thing is, young people, it's easier to change their mind than like, older people. These older people, they are stuck in their ways, so it's harder to get through to them. I mean,
but this is why, shout out to all the hippies at the protest that was getting it in back there that are viejitos now, that they like, listen, we done did this. I ain't doing this shit no more. Give them what they want already.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to a point that you made.
Wait, Kayla, before you.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say one thing to Tara, just because we never really. I don't know if you did this already. I know we did it on Facebook, but being that I have you here, seriously, from the bottom of my heart and the pit of my soul, thank you. Like, seriously, just thank you, and I hope you continue to do what you've been doing. You know, I can't make you do that, and you're doing that yourself. That's your decision, and it's an appreciation because it's my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're literally fighting for my life, so that means a lot to me. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Tara. You took the words right out of my mouth. And to make it very clear, I feel like people like Tara serve as an example, because Tara didn't ask me, do you want me to come? I didn't ask Tara to come. I didn't ask Tara, yo, can you give me a second? I just need to get this off my chest. Tara took it upon herself to say, look, what do you need? I'm going. You need me to pick you up some poster boards so you can make your poster? I know you're working. I'll meet you. You know, spending $1 on 2 posters for me so that it made my life a little bit easier to go fight for my life. That's those little things. You get in where the fuck you fit in. You know, and it doesn't take a lot. And if you can't take it on the broad sense and if you are that much in your bubble that you cannot wrap your head around what the hell we're talking about, get yourself a black friend. Get yourself some love around you from somebody that's different from you, so at least you can start with that and broaden that up. But I want to definitely piggyback on what Kyrell's saying, because what you're doing right now, it's been a pleasure to, when I'm talking to people, when I talk to my friends and family and they're talking about all the white people that are disappointing them, I can say that that's not my experience. And I never thought that would be something I'd be able to say, especially when I was that little kid moving to Clifton and I was the only black kid in my class. You know, it does mean a lot. It means a lot. And, you know, friends like you, I had a friend last night, I swear to God, sent me like 5 paragraphs telling me that, you know, I want to learn more. Give me some direction, please. Like, what's the best way that I can help, or show me how to find that best way? Or I never put into perspective, but I've always loved you. Now I look at you with more care and more concern, because I've realized what you walk around with every day that you don't even show to the world. You know, like I brought up in the live, I mean, Kyrell, I'm pretty sure you've seen this too, where you're walking too close to a woman and she got a purse and she pulls it closer. You blow it off, you let it go, you don't think twice about it, because that's what white ladies do. You know, you like you said with the cop, you're kind of taken aback, but in the moment, you don't even have the emotions to describe it because that's what cops do. You're just trying to get through it. Do whatever, like we're taught, do whatever they say, keep your head down, keep your voice calm, do whatever you gotta do so you can go home. Worst case scenario is for you to end up with them. So I encourage you, Tara, to keep being who you are and what you're doing, because if you haven't made a difference in a lot of people's lives, you've definitely made a difference in ours. Having you stand next to me at that protest, it was big. It was definitely big.
No, thank you guys, for letting me, stand there with you and fight the good fight, like Marsha P. Johnson did the same shit for us, like the gay people, the trans people, and many others, not just her, there's been so many. So it's like, we're family, you know what I mean? Like, why we gotta hurt each other? Like, why can't we just love each other?
Yeah.
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 Now,
I mean,
That
shit,
shit
Rodney
hurts
King.
me though.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Why can't we all just get along? It's really a
Literally,
simple
it's that
it's a
simple.
simple question, but unfortunately there are people, like you said, that old generation, it's a sickness. They just obviously don't believe that there are humans that are human. We're not family to them,
Yeah.
So it's important that you keep reminding people, because
I'm sorry not to interrupt you.
no, you good, you good.
Perfect example that I gave Tara on one of the last podcasts was you watch Westworld?
Me?
Yes, you.
You know that. Come on, we have
Okay.
conversations.
Well, we're asking for the listeners. So, you know how Westworld, when you look at the robots, you see a person there, but you know they're not real. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until that moment that we saw Dolores all skeleton down and only her head that you really take it in that she really is a robot.
Right.
And I feel, or is she? Exactly. Like, what makes up a person now? Now you're questioning what makes up a person, because she's done so good at teetering on that line. And I feel like that's it's a perfect example on how white people look at us. The ones that don't get it. There's just this intrinsic thing that you're always like, okay, I know they're human. I've told that they're human, but something's different there. So I'm gonna just be right over here until I figure out what that something different is. And that manifests and mutates however it does within that person. But I feel like that's something that if we can break those walls down and make it to even a baseline level that we're like, listen, y'all want to be mad with animals, be mad with another animal, not humans, not Homo sapiens, because at the end of the day, if we got the same blood type, I'll bet your bitch ass gonna want it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's something we definitely got to even out on. But I want to bring back up something that you brought up before when talking about Black Panther, because I feel like it's really significant right now. You touched on some of it, but I want to touch on that in regards to the protests and the looting and the riots, because I feel like there's something, you probably know where I'm going with this. It's very nuanced in that way. Something that people kind of had issue with the character of Killmonger for a long time throughout the movie until you really get to the end, is why the hell is he so angry? Why is he so salty? These people ain't never done nothing to him. Like, why are you coming with all this aggression? But he feels that Wakanda took it away from him.
Exactly.
And I feel like, yes. And I feel like the reality in that and what that means to feel like an outsider does something to a person. And over generations, and even how dismissive T'Challa was of his first cousin. In a lot of communities, your first cousin is like a brother or sister sometimes. And he was so dismissive of him and his feelings on it, not realizing until the end the damage that he had caused. Well, not that he had caused, but that his father had caused to this child. And it's a perfect example, like you said, as to what's happening with us. When you look at the riots, when you look at the looting, I mean, I feel like, yes, everybody, we're out there for George Floyd. We're out there for Breonna Taylor. We're out there for Ahmaud Arbery. We're out there for every single person that their life was taken when it wasn't supposed to be. But we're also out there for us, because there's that, we're out there for that job that didn't take us because our name was too ethnic. We're out there for that person that said that hip hop was trash and for low lives. For those people that like I said, they hold their purse a little too close. All those little things, or those companies that are stealing jobs and money and resources from our communities, and we have zero access to it, and they make it that way by design.
Right.
Taking on that moment to take that back, just how Killmonger says, like, oh, that's yours, that spear is yours, you sure about that? Because I know whose spear that is. Right. And then takes it and doesn't feel like he took shit.
That's right.
And I feel like that's something that's going on right now. You know, where you hear.
There's a symbol in that.
Mm-hmm.
There's another dime I'm gonna drop right here, but you know, we've grown up with that term. Are you a lover or a fighter? The African American is a lover and a fighter. It's not an or.
To be both.
We're both. We have to be, because in order to even show our love, we have to fight. We have to, because it's like, if we don't do it, we're just gonna bow down and die. And if we do it, people are gonna hate us, but at least we can get some people to change their mind, like a Tara. You know what I'm saying? So we have to fight. So that dynamic of Killmonger in the movie, of like him being a lover and a fighter, and like supporting the cause, but then also being lost a little bit because the system brainwashed him. You know, he's on the right path, but then he kind of shifts off a little bit because he's disconnected, like you said.
It's like how you said, when people go to Africa and they already have that preconceived notion. It's that brainwashing that he's been taught already. This person is my enemy. This person is not of me. I am an outsider of this. I am not of this. So It's easy for him to throw them to the side.
Right.
You know, it's easy for him to come that way.
Right. There's a football player, and forgive me because I can't remember his name. I think his first name starts with a T. But he's starting to trend now, viral, him saying some ignorant stuff on Twitter. But
that Drew Brees guy?
No, not Drew Brees. It's another guy.
Because he said some dumb shit too.
I know. But it's another guy. He asked 3 questions, and I'm only going to cite one of them. I think the first question is, oh, so you mean to tell me black people are blaming white people on black crime? I'm going to give you a very complicated and simplified answer. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds ridiculous, because it's like, yeah, but you're killing your own people. How is that my fault? Yeah, that goes to show me that you have no idea what happened in this country. You have no idea. It's that racism is deep. We don't know each other. We don't know. We say it's our people when we're fighting for a cause, but you know, at the end of the day, when we go home, it's like, you have no idea what it's like being in the ghetto, man. It's not, it's not the suburbs. You know, that's all they do.
The whole mentality that it comes from is from being in survival mode for so long. Like,
you're crabs in a barrel, man.
Yeah, you literally become crabs in a barrel, because it's what's the conversation you hear all the time? How we getting out? That's literally the conversation that you get. Or you get the people, and you get very few people that are like, you know what, I'm gonna make this work to stay here, and I'm gonna help these people. But that's not something that really happens, because, again, you get the situation where somebody's jealous now because you got something that they don't have, because you closer to the master's house.
Right.
And that's what it always goes back to. But I feel like that's something, a bunch of gems that you're hitting on, because I mean, all right, say I have really bad depressive issues and I cut myself. If I go out and get stabbed tomorrow, why should I not be mad that I got stabbed because I cut myself?
Right.
It's literally that. It's it's apples and oranges. They both fruit, but it's apples and oranges.
Right.
Like how they were like, that's a family problem. This a family problem that we're gonna work through. But I feel like we're working so hard to work toward the root,
Right.
that we're
Which is
bypassing
great
all
for
the
me.
steps, which is great. But I feel like that's why it's important we're having this conversation right now, because I mean, we need to find a way to bridge those gaps.
Right.
Because all right, to put this as plainly as possible, if we all niggas, there's a whole lot of us.
Yeah.
You know, if we're not that, and that was the thing too, is that you see, even back in slavery, I mean, the first time I learned that somebody fought back and won, I was in college. And I was sitting there mystified because I was like, oh, they all work together on this one. You know, that division that they set up, you brainwash people to the point that they're afraid to move. You think about the fact that you got one master and you got a couple 100,000 slaves, you got a couple thousand slaves, and none of them pulled up on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, there's instances where that did happen, and it's beautiful parts of our culture that we should be able to learn more about. But based on what we're taught in school, I mean, how the hell can you see? How can you not see how that is a design that will transfer? Because I mean, when you look at how
The book is out there, by the
it
way.
is,
If you look up the colonial period, you'd be sickened and surprised by what you find. I mean, I learned
yeah,
that in architecture school. They had a book on how you colonize, and it's like 13 laws or 13 steps to it, and it's not like a secret. It's a book that's out there, you know, and
yeah,
you're pretty much you keep the person's body, but you take their mind. It's that simple. I mean, Get Out was the symbolism of it, but you're you're still gonna be you in your physical form and body. I know you're strong. You can climb trees. You can do all that stuff, but I'm gonna take your mind.
mm-hmm.
You're gonna fear me. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna reprogram you like a
And
robot.
that's what we can't forget about each other, is that we've all had that programming. So, you know, it's better for us to work together than work against each other, because we have more things that are in common than different.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, you could, again, like we all say, you could be proud of where you come from, you know, like you could be proud of that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like,
Right.
I hold on to my Puerto Rican culture so tightly because I'm like, oh, it's something that I can learn about, and I can go back as far as I want to go back with it. It's gonna be a limit to it, but it's gonna be farther than just my great grandma,
Right.
because that's as far back as my lineage goes, is my great great grandma. Like, I know my great great grandma looked like a white lady. She don't know. I don't know what her name was on the black side. I don't know what my great great grandfather's name was. Like, but anything before that, like, I don't even know when my family was free. My last name is my mom's family is a Freeman. That has a meaning all of in itself. That usually that symbolizes being a free person, but I don't know if they were free or not. I don't know what none of that was, because I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they bought their freedom and they got stolen or whatever. I don't know what the hell, you know. So at least that side I have something to hold on to, which is cool. But I can't let that distract me from being proud of myself as a whole. You know, and I feel like that's something like we gotta unite. Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't see it no other way, at least die. But
I just want there to be a better history for like the next generation. Like, so that
absolutely,
we make history. Like, this is gonna change everything. They're gonna be like, holy shit, this is what brought fucking world peace.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's something that's so special about this, and I'm like, it makes me sad that my grandmother has to see it again, but it also makes me so excited for
I don't
her.
think it's gonna get that bad. I mean, like,
No,
we'll see.
girl, we
I can't
here.
speak. I can't speak.
Girl, we here.
Look,
It is that
here,
bad. Don't
I
get
got
it
I got
twisted.
something.
The only difference
I
is
got
that it's
something.
on tape now.
That's what I'm
That's
saying. We
true.
We
have more
here.
evidence. We have more evidence.
But that
I
doesn't
feel
make it
like,
any less bad. It's just that now y'all see it. We been knew this was going on.
yeah, that's true. And it's only a small fraction of what you even see, but um, I have a visual for it because, like I said, I'm an artist. I'm always thinking of things in an artistic way. But I'm I use like what's going on now with our history as like, let's say there's a black woman. She had chains on her hands and chains on her legs, and they're chained together. Her hands are chained together, her legs are chained together, right? And as we had Martin Luther Kings and Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X and these and the Black Panther, like all of these great leaders, as these things happened throughout history, she got stronger and stronger. She finally broke apart the chains, but the chains are still on her. And now she's walking forward. But what you're not noticing is the chains, we don't know how long and how deep that chain goes. It's still on her leg. At some point, she's going to get to a stopping point, and then she's going to finally break the chain off. That's where we are. I think we're at that point where, oh, wow, I see how deep this racism goes, this chain, this system goes. Now I can get to the root of it and dismantle it, take it apart.
I feel like too,
the world now.
Yeah, I feel like too, what makes the biggest difference is during the civil rights movement, there were two schools of thought. There was this side that was like Martin, this side that was like Malcolm. Now, the difference was in that time period, it was a battle of what's the best way to fight this. Our generation, we've learned about both. We've learned that both are equally as important as the other. So we realize you need both to survive. You know?
Same dynamic. Lover,
same dynamic, lover and a fighter.
Who's the lover? Martin Luther King. Who's the fighter? Malcolm X. We don't have to be one of them. We have to be both.
We have to be both. We realize that. And I said, it's the interesting part about this, because being that we're descendants of those two people, the fight that these racists think they're up against is not what they've seen before, because we've never seen this before. We move different. Like, we got like,
Trumpet.
We got a little comfortable. We got a little comfortable as Black people, because granted, no more white water fountains. I can move in the white neighborhood and that's against the law for you to tell me I can. But it was just like, we were like at the halfway point when we came into the world anyway. We were at the halfway point between, hey, we just fixed this, and to, hey, you guys got to fix the next thing. So we kind of got to a place that it was comfortable, that we were like, okay, so now we know we not less than. We know we're not. We do these things with you. We see how our things have grown, and I feel like hip-hop is a huge part of that, because it just kind of took over. And it wasn't because we were Black. It was because the music was so good. And the difference is back then, during the civil rights movement, there was no means for Blacks to put out their own stuff in a way that it could sustain itself. Right. Those things are already there for us, and they're not withheld from us. We just got to learn how to use it, and that's what's withheld from us. But that's when we come in with the each one teach one, and you figure it out. So now we have the tools, we have knowledge on our side, even though the circumstance is exactly the same. Because if you look at the riots and the protests from the 60s, ain't shit changed with the clothes. But now we have tools in place that, just like the forefathers that gave us this country, the racists didn't mean for us to get that. But we did. And that's the thing. That's the key. You can't hate the player. You got to hate the game. You got to play the cards you got. You know? And I feel like you said, that's where we are right now. And that's so significant. And, I know there's a lot of issues internally that we all got to work on. But I feel like a lot of that education can fix, opportunity can fix. When the playing field is leveled, we're going to have to find something else to be mad about than who got what money, who's doing well, who's doing what. Right. Now we got to get to now the mirror's there, But definitely, I feel like that's an interesting part of it. And just to reiterate, just because we have been prefacing everything, I know there's a conversation as well amongst Black people about, are people right for looting and rioting? Which I'm not gonna say yes or no, because I'm gonna say, like, do I think it's wrong? Do I think it's wrong for you to burn down the bodega like you get your ham and cheese from every day? No, don't burn that shit down. They us. What the fuck you doing? But you want to go fuck up Target? They got insurance. That's how I feel.
Here's how I'll relate it, because I think you I have two women here that I'm speaking to, so I can use you as I guess analogy here. But for those that don't understand, if you're just walking around the neighborhood at night, walking your dog, and you never really have any problems, you're probably going to be one of those people who say, why would you riot and loot? But if you were one of those women that unfortunately was choked and raped and you had to fight out of it, and now you're fighting and somebody's looking at you and saying, why are you punching the guy in the face? Just kick him in the nuts and run away. You're fighting because it's wrong, and you've been, you know what I'm saying? You've been degraded. You've been taken, like, you know what I'm saying? Somebody's trying to put their dominance on you. It's, no one really knows what that feels like until it's happened to you. Someone's squeezing your throat and trying to take the power from you. No one knows that until that happens. And the people that say that are all the people that that's never happened to. They don't know. It just comes back to that same notion. You can't understand it because you haven't lived through it. So if you can't understand that, then at least do this for me. It goes back to the all lives matter thing. If you're going to have something to say about the rioters and looting on Facebook, on social media, Instagram, I don't care if it's TikTok, whatever, make sure you post something about Black Lives Matter, and then you can post about the rioters and the looting. Because what you look like and what you don't understand is you don't care about my life. You only care about what's happening with the protests and the rioting and the looting. You don't really care about the meaning of what's happening. If you at least posted something that said, okay, there's a movement happening and then there's some people that are taking away from it, I can understand that. But if you're only focused on rioting and looting, most likely you're white, most likely, and you don't understand what's going on. And you're completely disrespecting me. That's my life.
And to your point as well, to put it even more plain than that, if Tara stole something from a store, Kyrell beat somebody up, and I killed somebody, when we go to court, the level of charges are drastically different. Because what are they going to say? Tara stole a shirt, Kyrell punched somebody in the face and they got hurt, but I took somebody away that's never coming back. So if you believe in the rule of law and you believe in cops' rights and their authority, you should be able to recognize that categorically, this does not follow the system. So yes, it's a grand amount, but let's keep it quiet as it's kept. There's a lot of businesses that's probably not that mad because they've been closed, and now they can collect on insurance to pay up that gap that they have. So that's one. But two, like you said, it's a matter of putting it into perspective. Let's get into factual, realistic perspective. If you can't see it as, yo, you don't care about my life, okay, cool. But you understand how the law works, and the law don't work that way either. So I'm sorry, can't help you. You know, so I definitely I agree with you there. But I want to
morally, it seems like it's not right to riot and loot. I agree with that. I do. Mm-hmm. I just happen to be one of those people. I'm a lover and a fighter, but morally, yeah, in my code, I wouldn't do that. That's just me. I'm trying to figure out what to do, but that's not one of the things that I'm not condoning it, but I also understand it. And, you know, and like I said, I just wanted to make sure that because that's personal for me, because I have a lot of friends on my feed that are so-called friends of mine, and I'm literally posting things to let them know that this is serious. It's about my life. And all they can write or they can post is the things that they see. That's what bothers them. Not the fact that I'm telling them that my life might be at risk just because it's my skin color. But what bothers them is, there's some mom and pop shops that, you know, they work their whole life for that. That's tragic. I'm not saying that that's not tragic.
But I feel like as well, you should have did like they did in the 60s, sit in the middle of your store so people know that there was a person of color and you skipped this one. Just like in the Bible where they put the blood on the door, you gotta give an indicator. Like, yo, I'm down with the get down.
Kiss is smart, man. Kiss, streetwear brand is, they have a few stores, but I'm just speaking of the one in Soho. It's a Jewish guy who runs it, but he was smart, man. He boarded the whole store, but he painted the boards black and put like Nelson Mandela quote on it. So nobody's really gonna go there and try to loot because they're probably like, yeah, this person that owns this business is down for the cause. That was smart.
It is.
Right there.
And I said too, during our live, just to reiterate, I think too, people don't understand the visceral nature that of all the emotions you feel when you're at a protest. And I'm pretty sure you guys can understand from us doing that protest together. There's something that you feel, something that you can't hide from when you're there.
Right.
And it's enough that I've been brought to tears multiple times at the protest. Right. I remember being in the city and walking past a Hispanic woman and her daughter. And as soon as she looked at me, I went like this and she started to cry. You know, and I'm like, there's something there that it's like that thing of being seen and doing it calmly and being around all these people all day long that are nice to you, that are trying to do the right thing, that because you're Black, they're being extra nice to you. Yeah. To be at the end of your day and somebody dismisses you and says, okay, you took your pictures, you did your little march, go home. And you go, no, but y'all still don't get it. And then they violate you with mace or a baton or rubber bullets. Now, there's something to that I was like, I didn't even get to be there long enough to see that happen. But I was there long enough to know that I was like, if that would have been me, I don't know what I would have said. I don't know what I would have done. Because if I know I'm standing there cool and I'm with a gang of people and you came up to me, I don't know. I might be so full of rage because I've never identified all those feelings at the same time in my life that I might want to fuck some shit up. The same way some people get mad and they punch a wall or things like that. Once you get started, there's no stop. And that energy is so massive and there's thousands and thousands of people. It just spreads like wildfire. And all you need is a couple assholes to come in and start it.
Trigger, yeah.
You know?
And no, I just want to make sure that the viewers know too, we're only speaking of the very few actual Black people that are going out there and doing that. But as we all are starting to learn, the majority of this stuff happening is not even, it has nothing to do with the protest anyway. It's outsiders, and a lot of them are not Black. So there clearly is an agenda to try to discredit what we're doing with the protest.
I think sometimes it's more simplistic than that. Because I feel like Patterson was a very perfect example of that this past weekend. Okay. Patterson, the same day as Clifton, they did an amazing protest. I was so proud to be from Patterson because I saw what everybody did. They all came together for once.
Their police kneeled.
Exactly. At least their police kneeled. So now to see now, after we left the protest from Clifton, just to give y'all some preface, I decided, you know what? I got a couple calls, couple texts. Yo, when you come back to the city, be careful because they're wilding. Okay. I said, I've been to a couple protests now, and everything everybody tells me that I'm supposed to see, I never see. So let me go look for myself.
Exactly.
And I'm glad that I did because, like I said, let everybody know you're straight. I'm driving around in my car and I'm blasting music that lets people know that in the areas that I'm nervous to even go to, hey, I'm here for the right reason. So I went through literally every ward in Patterson. I drove around Patterson for a complete hour and there was no sign, no indication, nothing that would tell you that there was going to be any looting around. And the cops had pretty much dispersed. There were a couple cops doing their regular routes, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. It looked like a regular night. Hour later, they hit Kictronics across town. Now, that was very clear to people very quickly. Yo, that wasn't this. That was somebody that thought, they heard rumors that they were going to be looting, and they said, well, let me hit it because the cops are going to be across town. And I feel like that's what's happening a lot. Yes, I think there's a sinister plan that's going on, but I feel like there's a lot of them too, because scammers gonna be scammers.
That's right.
Have you seen the videos of the cops starting it sometimes?
But that's what I'm saying. There are those sinister things at work, but we have to remember that we can't get distracted. We cannot get
we have to
distracted.
also remember where like policing began, like the
Yes.
origin of it, you know, so,
Right.
because
Right.
that means a lot as well, you know, like
It's an
that.
arm in that system. It's an arm in that robot, the police. It's an arm of it. Just one arm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, is that people don't understand the culture of policing, but they talk about policing a lot. And um, police culture is a lot more complicated than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know a lot of blacks and Hispanics and of other cultures are very frustrated with officers that don't stand up, especially when they look like us.
Mhm.
But they also don't understand where those people come from, which is why granted, I am biased. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not, but I also know things that y'all don't. I know the times that my father came home in tears because a white man at work that was his superior embarrassed him, emasculated him, or messed up his reports to make him look like he was an idiot. But he had a wife and child at home to support him. My mother was trying to get her college degree so she could show her daughter that she could make it through college. So he stayed. You know,
And he didn't have the
and he
privilege to
didn't
say,
have
"Oh, I don't want to do this job anymore. I'm gonna do something else."
exactly. My dad didn't have really too many other skills. He did military. He dropped out of college, did military, and went into policing. And somebody gave him a chance on that. You know, so it's complicated. A lot of those officers get treated the exact same way that their inmates do.
Yeah.
They do.
I hear
They're seeing
stories.
You
the ugly
know,
side.
they have
They're
full
seeing the ugly side.
initiatives within brotherhoods for specifically for Hispanics, specifically for
Yeah.
blacks and whatever, because they don't got representation at work either. It's like we all got Stockholm syndrome
Right.
with this system.
Right. Right. I mean, I know that all three of us can attest because we have people we graduated with that are police. Um, and you know what? I'm cool with all of them. I'm actually really cool with all of them, and I have nothing but love in my heart for them. I never put out a message that just said "f all the police." I know that there are messages out there, and that's what they're responding to, and it's hurtful to them because their job is to lay their life on the line for the same people saying "f you." So it is harsh, but it's so complicated. It's like you
Mm-hmm.
can't just look at that and not look at the whole picture because then you're just a part
Exactly.
of the problem. If you're gonna just say like, oh, that's hurtful, and I don't understand why you think that way, then you just said it. You don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should have a conversation with me. And that is not everybody's mindset.
Yeah.
That's not how everybody
But
thinks.
you know what too? Because I agree with you as well in regard to that when it comes to cops. Like, I'm not giving you excuses. Like, I'm not, because you're torturing yourself in the
Right.
process.
Right.
So
And
you're
you
hurting
chose the
yourself
job.
and you're hurting me. But what
Right.
I will say is something to really keep in mind, that being a cop, that's the only job that you can go to jail for something somebody else did that you had nothing to do with. Like, if I went and robbed a car, my dad's getting pulled into the room to get it investigated too. And I've seen it happen firsthand. So cops tread extremely light, especially ones of color, because guess what? These cops that we talking about that didn't get these sentences, ain't they all white? Very few of them didn't get charged and convicted that were of color.
Right.
There
And
are
there's good.
some of
By the
them.
way, there's good cops out there that they get fired when they do the right thing. When
Exactly.
when
So
Yeah.
they
there's
see their
a
fellow
real
officer doing
fear there.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's where I've been very proud of a lot of the cops that we know that have spoken out and taken the time to be like, you know what? I know that this looks crazy, but you guys keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
Because I'm like, I know how hard that is, but I pray that officers of color realize that the more time that you guys spend working together, you're going to be able to change your work environment the same way that these unions have done for people for years in this country.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I've talked to cops after they've been retired, and they look at their career very differently after the fact.
Yeah.
Because the whole time they're in it, they're in survival mode. So I feel like that's something that we all need to have a little compassion and consideration for everybody else. But
Sure.
we also have to hold ourselves accountable for what we stand for. And if you're gonna do it, be it 10 toes down. You know, you can't. There's no room for sidestepping. Um, but just to wrap up, I think we've really touched a lot today and had a really dope conversation. Um, so I guess we can end it on like what's next for all of us. So, you know, what do you guys see yourselves doing next to put your stamp out there and you make a difference out there in what we're all doing?
I think I'll just start by saying just keep the conversation going. Don't let this just be another trend. Please don't. I mean, it's very unfortunate. Like Trayvon Martin was a that one that hurt me, man. That was close to home because when I looked at him, I literally he looked like me to me. So you know, I'm seeing myself in the mirror, younger me. So, but you know, Trayvon Martin came and went. You know, until the next black person was killed and it trended. I really hope this is just not another trend. So it'd be nice to just keep the conversation happening. There's a lot of people who still need more information. They're still saying all lives matter. They still don't get it. I know it's exhausting and it's tiring, and I think we're really tired. We're tired of being tired, but we have to. It's so much bigger than us individually. We have to do it. Our ancestors died for it. We can at least do this. So, you know, just keep the conversation going. Tara, keep doing what you're doing. Argue if you have to. Argue, but you know,
Bruh, Kayla knows. Bruh, like I had to delete mad friends already on Facebook. Like I just, if you're not gonna like just agree with me on this one important thing, like I feel like everybody should, this is one thing we should all agree on.
right.
I just don't want to have the conversation if we can't like find common ground at all, because it's just a waste. We're never gonna agree because like you're valuing somebody else's life more than, you know, like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. What do you?
definitely.
Let me just get your perspective on that. So, like, what do you think? What do you think has to happen? Because in that person's mindset, they're literally ready to go to war. Like, I'll shoot and kill all the black people in my minority, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. But what do you think to get rid of the racist person's mindset? If you really feel like we can't change their mind, then what do you think we do?
I feel like we have to get back to a point where there's a level of respect at minimum. Because one of my favorite phrases, "You don't gotta like me, but you damn sure gonna respect me."
Yeah, but that
You know,
person who's racist,
and
that
that person.
that
But the thing
that's
is,
not a good option for them.
but this is the thing. There's systems that can be put in place that will make it a thing whether they want it to be or not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now, who we got in there, he's with the shits.
I think
That's one way to stop it, is making sure that nobody else gets in there. Nobody else in the Supreme Court get in there. Nobody else gets into Senate and Congress. Nobody becomes your mayor, your councilman, your teachers, your prosecutors, your judges. Those are things that if you hold their feet to the fire, they're gonna have to start doing things that are just gonna, it's gonna have to happen. I mean, think about how it wasn't that long ago when racists were closet racists because they felt like there was a consequence.
yeah.
So I feel like the biggest thing that can be done is creating a consequence. And I don't mean that by violent means necessarily. You know, I mean, of course, we should defend ourselves. I wholeheartedly believe in defending
Well,
ourselves.
just to
But
say, racists are still closet racist because they
mm-hmm,
are hiding behind the uniform, which is what we're calling out. You know, we're not calling out all bad police. We're calling out those KKK members and stuff, those white supremacists, those ill-minded people that unfortunately just hide behind
and
whether it's a
that
president
there
suit
is
or
up to
military.
she. I'm sorry. We need to be Karen right now. Where's the manager?
Yeah,
I want to talk to your chief. I want to
yeah,
talk to your supervisor. I want
yeah,
to talk to your sheriff. Because guess what? At the end of the day, a lot of these guys are working on orders. So
yeah.
whether they like the order or they don't like the order, that's something that's on them. But they have that choice.
Yeah.
That
I
shouldn't be
mean,
a choice.
our unity is working. Honestly, our unity is working right now. That's why I'm gonna quote this viral video that keeps going around, and everybody's gonna. It's the new dance, but what is it again?
The what?
You're about to lose your job.
Oh yes,
Oh,
you are about to lose your job.
It's
You
funny,
are
but
about
it's
to
true
lose your job.
because of the power of numbers now. Now, every time when you do something stupid and we make it go viral and we call you out and, we're like, oh, I know your employer. We're going to ask the employer to do, because that's their money.
You are
Now
about
you're
to
hurting their
lose
money.
your job.
They remixed it and shit.
Hell yeah, because guess what? You're absolutely right. If that officer knows that his little pension that he's been waiting all these years to get,
right.
that them legal fees coming out that pension, damn, that's my money that I'm not gonna get now. If they know that there's that the union, hey, if somebody dies in your custody, you on your own. Yep. Unless you can prove that they were hurting you first, you are on your own. When that starts happening, that's when people are going to be held accountable, because the problem is too that you have the brotherhoods for the cops that are their unions essentially, that they're enabling it. They're enabling it because because you pay dues, they're gonna take care of you. That's their job. But you can't be so surface level. There has to be a level of accountability, because I'm sorry, at the end of the day, you're walking around with a gun. Your ass should know the law like a lawyer if you're going to enforce it. They should be going through as much training as a doctor if you're gonna enforce it. So if you're not gonna do that, then we need to have something in place that you can use your fair judgment to know. Because I'm sorry, at your job, you might not know every little rule in the rule book, but you know when you're doing something you're not supposed to, because you ain't seen nobody else do that shit. So I think it's establishing that.
I heard a quote. It was like, fuck, I just forgot it. Just keep going. Sorry.
You're about to lose your job.
Yeah, I had a brain fart.
That's all right. Well, Tara, let us know. What's your take on it though? Like, what do you think and it's just an opinion, obviously, like what should happen next?
I think people should, this is kind of fucked up, but I think people should be getting fired and stuff. Like, if they're openly racist, like, there should be consequences like that, because then people won't do it. You know,
That's
like,
true. It's the same way they do incentives, like they give, the quotas for cops to give you tickets and stuff. There should be negative incentives, and there should be positive ones that are better than.
Yeah, you ever had a civil rights violation and you're about to retire? Here's a bonus to go on top of your pension.
I remember the quote.
That wouldn't be bad.
I remember the quote though. It's when the cops become the military, or the military become the cops, then it's not good, because they're pretty much just training them for like the bare minimum, and like, because they're not trained like military, but I mean, like, they're trained to shoot and kill. Yeah, they're trained to shoot.
Girl, they're allowed to use tear gas, and that's considered a war crime.
Word. It's crazy. So,
I mean, the Amber Geiger case, right? The lady who walked in Botham John's apartment thinking it was hers.
Mm-hmm.
She did I forgot what the terminology for it, but it's like the double shot, and you shoot like that 2 times to kill. Like that. That's how they're trained. Like, oops, I made a mistake. Oops, my bad.
Well, that's the thing too, that they tell cops, be very careful when you're choosing to take your gun out of your holster, because it's a reaction that you get, that even like you'll see there's instances where one cop let off a shot, now everybody let off shots. That's kind of, they've been trained that becomes a knee-jerk reaction, where they're like, they automatically fall into line. So it's breaking that down and bringing more sense into things. I mean, even, I don't know if you guys have seen, Obama released 8 simple things that can be done right now that you can adopt without legislation that would make people's lives better interacting with police today. It's as simple as taking those things and working with them, Because I mean, something as simple as, like, there were like super simple things. Actually, I'm gonna pull it up quickly before we wrap up, because I know
you were gonna say something, Tara.
But go ahead, Tara, while I look this up.
Bro, I don't remember.
Oops, sorry.
I'm high as fuck.
I was trying to be good and not smoke on camera for once because I got scolded by my aunt Rhonda. She was like, "Stop smoking on camera. It's not becoming." So I was like, all right, I'll give you a.
I thought you were doing it for Kyrell.
Oh gosh.
Kyrell, that's the homie. He know what's up. Actually, I was able to find it. Let me just get it up. Okay, so these are the 8 things that call 8 can't wait. First is to ban chokeholds and strangleholds.
That's a good start.
Right? Second is to require de-escalation. Third is to require a warning before shooting.
This is nationally?
No, this is something that is not national, which is the problem. It should be, but they're trying to make it national. These are just suggestions that are proven to work, that they were like, you guys can adopt them right now, at least to do something.
Let's vote on shit. I'm ready.
You don't even need to vote. That's the thing. It's something that they can just put in as a policy and just be done. Like, you can just do it. They can literally get up tomorrow and say, hey, we're going to be a part of 8 Can't Wait. And that's
do you think Trumpito's going to allow that?
He has no control over it. This is down based on municipality. He has no power over it.
Oh, you're saying like over each city. Okay.
Yeah. So a couple cities have already bought on, including New York and Atlanta. But it's just a matter of everybody adopting it. But the fourth is exhaust all alternatives before shooting. Fifth is to create a duty to intervene. So like in a situation with George Floyd, if there's a cop there, you see something, you say something, you do something. Ban shooting at moving vehicles because that's dangerous for everyone. Establish use of force continuum and require all force to be reported. That's simple. Real simple. Doesn't ask for much, but I'm pretty sure even just hearing those things, you guys can think of a bunch of things that would help.
Yeah.
You know? Sure. So, but I think we should probably wrap up here. We've definitely kept Kyrell here with us long enough, but thank you so much for bringing this topic to the table and coming and spending some time with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm sure I'll be on again, unfortunately, but maybe we can talk about other things, other shows.
It was a pleasure, man. Not
definitely. And you are welcome to be with us anytime, man. Friend of the show.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Word, it was good seeing you the other day, even though the circumstances were,
Yeah.
But,
all right. Yeah, we gotta make sure. By the way, we gotta make sure we do that more often because losing friends this year, in the last 3 years, honestly, people my age and younger, we got to do better, more for each other.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
Stick together, yo.
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, I just appreciate you so much for coming and giving your energy and giving your time and your input, because I feel like it's an important view that you have that was really able to articulate some things today and help the conversation. So thank you so much again.
And thank you. I appreciate the platform you gave.
I think we hit like 3 hours. Holy shit.
Jeez, this is a record, Kyrell. Okay, so on that note, none of us are going to lose our jobs. Not today.
No, but, not for racism, at least.
Right, at least not for racism. But we'll catch everybody on the next round. We'll probably have an episode up soon. Thanks again, guys. And catch you on the flip side.
Deuces.